Yo. I was gonna do an intro, but I don't really feel like it. Hello everybody. Yes, today we are designing uppercase letters. Those already exist. I meant to say Uppestcase, but I'm so like out of it that what am I doing? So far we've designed lowercase numbers, uppercase symbols, and middle case letters. But what do they all have in common? Not really anything, actually. There's so many different directions I could go from here, but the one I've been suggested to go the most is Uppestcase, or highest case letters. But what does that mean? What is Uppestcase? Well, we already have uppercase. I feel like the name is pretty self-explanatory. So let's begin, starting with the first letter of the alphabet, A. Now, while I want most of these designs to be based on the existing versions of these letters, I feel like it'd be wrong not to at least consider my middle case letter designs. If we're building towards the natural progression of things here with uppest, middle, and eventually lowest case, then I feel like if we don't take into account the existing designs I've done, we'll end up with a lot of duplicates or similar symbols. In the video, I presented this as my middle case A design, but it's been a little bit since then, and I've realized that there are few things in this world I hate more than this. I don't know what that guy was thinking, which is especially concerning because that was me that was thinking. Now, by the time this video's out, I've actually uploaded a second channel video apologizing for this design, but I need to say it officially on this channel. We're retconning that letter. Erase this from the history books. It doesn't exist anymore. Middle case A is now this. Think of it as the other way to write lowercase a, but stretched to be as tall as uppercase A. I've given all my reasons in the second channel video. We're not gonna cover them here. Just know that this doesn't exist anymore. Anyway, all that to say, this really doesn't have anything to do with my design for Uppestcase A. I just wanted to bring that up now. Uppestcase A, and you're gonna see this pattern a few times across some of my designs, but you know what they say, consistency is key. Takes the same shape as uppercase A, but has a double line. Because 2 is better than 1. It might not be as different from uppercase A as I'd like, because a lot of these designs look very different than their uppercase counterparts. But in this case specifically, I feel like the double line makes enough of a statement that it's kind of okay. Emphasis on kind of. I'm not super happy about this, but it's not the end of the world. My original design took a more rounded form because my logic was, oh, well, this is a point, so then just expand it, make it wider. Therefore, it's bigger, therefore it feels more uppercase. The thing is, even though this is bigger and has more mass than this, it lacks the stage presence that this point has. I think the double line is just enough for it to get by in this case, and that we can stick to just keeping the point. Also, and I'll address this now as we move into B, uppercase letters are often way more chiseled than their lowercase counterparts. And if not chiseled, they have more corners and edges. I think the clearest example of this is the letter E. Like, this is a silly, whimsical, rounded, swirly little guy. And this is a rock-solid, hardened war veteran. The reasoning for this, at least from what my research suggested, is that the Romans, who established the letter system we use today, only used uppercase letters to carve into rock, because obviously it'd be a lot easier to carve this into rock than this. And so, while I want to keep that in mind for some letters, there are some instances where I feel like we don't necessarily need to make it more chiseled when it becomes Uppestcase. We're not carving letters into rock anymore. So as much as I like the ideology of, oh, the letter becomes more chiseled and sharpened as it becomes more uppercase, I'm not gonna follow that in every instance. That being said, I am gonna follow it in the case of B. My logic for the longest time was, oh, 1 bump, 2 bump, 3 bump. But the more I looked at this, the more I just wanted to, like, kill it. So I did. I killed it. And then I decided to follow, again, the more chiseled approach. Is it just a K with lines on the top and bottom? Yes, but shut up. If you want to make that argument, this is just a 3, but with a line in the back. So, you know, don't go there. We can do this all day. I wasn't a huge fan of this initially. A lot of the reasoning behind why I design certain letters the way I do is because they still feel like that letter. They still match the vibe that all the other cases of it do. And here, I feel like this was kind of straying a bit too far from the vibe of B, but I slept on it, and I think that this is ultimately pretty okay. Get it? Okay? because it's like a K. It's not a K, but like I'm just making a joke right now. But once the joke is over, forget that this looks like a K, because it really messes up my argument. In all seriousness, it feels enough like B, and the fact that it's just a chiseled B really sells it to me. Next up, we got C. Oh boy. This is another one where I think we need to consider my middle case design, which was the same as the uppercase C, it just went beneath the line. This brings up another question regarding uppercase letters. Lowercase letters only sometimes go beneath the line. Middle case letters also sometimes go beneath the line. Uppercase letters never go beneath the line. So does that mean that uppest case letters never go beneath the line? As much as I'd like to say yes, that kind of puts me in a situation, because what the hell would I do with this? So similarly to how I've accepted the idea that uppest case letters can be more rounded than the uppercase counterparts, I've also accepted the idea that uppest case letters can go beneath the line, which means that in the case of C, it's just a big old letter taking up mad space on the line. It's unified, it's consistent, and it all works out in the end somewhat. This does beg the question for what I'm gonna do for lowest case C, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Similarly, D follows a pattern, but not in the same way that C does. While C is just the same design but getting progressively smaller, D alternates. If you'll remember, my middle case D was this weird kind of shape, and I deliberated over this one for the longest time, but I eventually settled on this, which works for two reasons for me. The first is that the middle case D is incorporated into the design, which I feel like when you just merge a middle case and uppercase letter together, it feels automatically more uppercase. The other is that this is the Disney D. You know, the whole... I wrote Disnep like automatically because the Y also looks like a P, but I know Disney already owns like everything. I'm not trying to let them capitalize on the alphabet as well, but I do like that it looks like the curly Disney D. But it is primarily the fact that it is merging uppercase and middle case D together. But trust me, that's it. No more mice-related corporations are getting a hold of the alphabet. Okay, now we're on E. I can't draw letters. All this time and I still can't draw letters. This is the most egregious example of where a letter becomes curvy after becoming solid. And this is the only case where it doesn't bother me, but it is the most blatant case of it. This is probably also the most egregious design, period. Lowercase e has a loop. Middle case e has a loop. Uppercase e doesn't have a loop. So let's bring the loop back. In fact, let's do 2 loops. 1, 2. But we're missing something from uppercase E, and this feels like C right now. So why don't we take its nose? It feels like it doesn't fit at all, and it's super complex and hard to draw, and really just like, for lack of a better term, cringe. But the alphabet needs a dose of cringe. I think the thing that bothers me about this the most is ironically the fact that now uppercase E feels like it doesn't belong. Like if we got rid of this and pretended that this was just uppercase E, this feels like a much nicer progression of things. So I almost want to make uppercase E the scapegoat and just like pass all the blame onto them. Obviously though, we can't do that. E is kind of a staple around here, but I think I can try to salvage this by making lowest case E more like angular. But in the meantime, uppest case E being this feels right to me. Oh god, F was one I really did not like trying to come up with a design for. This is also a design that I'm not super pleased with for the middle case one, but I'm not like super upset with it. It just created a weird question of how do I make this feel like a natural progression into uppest case F. And I think my design that I went with for the longest time was just this, make the line go through the F and then just curve the tail similar to how I did middle case P. And not to be like completely subjective, but I just don't like this. But then it hit me. 7 sometimes has a line through it. So what if we just flip it around? It's really bizarre, it's really strange, it's really out there. but it really fits. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the crazy one. Am I the crazy one? Oh, gee. Golly, G. Gee, what do I do, G? Like, we got the tail here twice. It would feel wrong not to include it on the Uppestcase version. But then what? Am I just gonna leave uppercase G standing all by himself without a tail? Yeah, I am. Again, I think we can salvage this by making lowest case G something specific, which you'll see when that video comes out, so subscribe. So with that in mind, I think the bigger issue here is just that these are really similar, but the whole like fourth of a circle going on here is enough for me to be like, yeah, that's more uppercase than this. It felt like the most natural step. It felt like the most obvious choice. And it almost made me regret making this middle case G, but again, I think they're different enough. I'm still kind of just like baffled at whoever designed G, because how did you think that uppercase and lowercase G looked similar at all? There is nothing the same between them, and I'm gonna keep saying that. If you weren't able to guess any of the designs so far, H and I are gonna be the ones that you'll have the best shot of guessing. H, what do we do? H. Another YouTuber that did Uppestcase letters already, named Doodle Digest, came up with the analogy that it looks like a ladder because you're climbing the ladder to get to the uppercase. And I'm so upset that I didn't think of that. I'm actually like low-key pissed. Like, you have no right being more clever than me. It's only one line extra, but again, it feels different enough and it keeps it consistent with A. There's a pattern going on. I like patterns. I like feeling like I'm at home and safe and comfortable. And that's what H does. If I feel at home, then all is well. And H makes me feel at home. Okay, maybe we've made it this far into the video and you still haven't guessed one. What do you think I is gonna be? Think about everything I've talked about, everything I've said, consider all your options here. What do you think I is gonna be? Think about existing systems like Roman numerals, eh? What do you think I is gonna be? If you weren't able to guess that, then you're a lost cause. Me personally, I'm very okay with just following this idea of sometimes turning a one line into a double line to make it Uppestcase, but I think I is the example that I'm the most okay with. And I think it is because of Roman numerals. Going from 1 to 2, it just makes a lot of sense. And I hear you guys being like, well, what are you gonna do about Roman numerals now? It's just, this is just 2. You don't need to do 2 back-to-back I's. You can just do an Uppestcase I. Like, it just, come on, that was an easy question.
Hey guys, trust me when I say that it's a very reasonable time right now. There's something that I really wanted to cover that I completely forgot to cover. So, let's cover it. People tend to write letters in general completely differently, but I is a letter that specifically gets written 2 different ways, and one of them really bothers me. That, of course, is when people write I as just a line. And, you know, I bring it up a million times every video, but the reason this bothers me is because it's literally just lowercase l. And for the majority of this video, I didn't really consider the different ways people write letters because most Uppestcase letters don't really look like the uppercase letter, except in the case of I, if you write your I as just a line, it would be really weird just to switch suddenly to this. So what do you do? And while I could easily just leave this up to interpretation, I thought it'd be better if I gave my 2 cents on it. If you write your I's like this, then I'm sorry, but you just like to suffer. And because it's pretty much this I, but with the sides removed, your Uppestcase I is gonna be just that, with the sides removed. That's right, your Uppestcase I is just a box. This is what you get for writing I like this.
Now is when I wish T came before J in the alphabet, because it would make a lot more sense to explain why T is what it is than to explain why J is what it is. Actually, what am I talking? This is my video. I'm gonna do T now. Forget the order of the alphabet. We're doing it my way. Actually, don't forget the order of the alphabet. Keep it as it is, but just for the sake of this video, we're doing T now. T is kind of the obvious one, and this is where I'm really glad I didn't follow most people's suggestions for middle case T. A lot of people said to do this for middle case T, but that feels more uppercasey than regular uppercase T. So I decided to go with this for middle case T, and now this is Uppestcase T. I said in the original letter video way back when that I don't like how it's a double-sided F, but you know, people can change. It's not a double-sided F. You're just crazy. I was about to do U. We're not there yet. I can't skip half the alphabet. Anyway, J. So now that you know what T is, J follows a similar path of logic because my middle case J was kind of a T. So obviously, Uppestcase J is just that. Now, so far, only C as an Uppestcase letter has gone beneath the line. And it might make a lot of sense for J to do that as an Uppestcase letter because, well, 2 out of the 3 so far do that, so why not the Uppestcase one? It would make it feel more superior, but I have a reason for that we'll touch on in a little bit. And in the meantime, it's not really a huge deal. This is an uppercase J. It never really mattered that it didn't go beneath the line. And so in the case of Uppestcase J, it feels Uppestcase enough. Like if T can get by with just adding on an extra line, then J can get by with just adding on an extra line. K. K is one that I'm not fully satisfied with as it stands right now, but I think given enough time, I'll come around. Uppercase K, lowercase k. Middlecase K. For the longest time, I wanted to merge these two together and do something like this, but the problem is that this just doesn't feel right. I think what makes this not feel right is the fact that uppercase K extends like beyond where this one would go, and I don't think an Uppestcase letter should shrink in width compared to its uppercase counterpart. But something about the triangle in the middle didn't bother me all that much. Do you know what I settled on? If you think that's bad, originally we were gonna go with, and I didn't have as much of a problem with that, but then my friend described it as the final boss of letters, and I said, you know what, I think you have a point. So I toned it down a bit, it's friendlier now, and I think it works. I'm really writing myself into a corner here, because once I have a 5th K, I don't know where I'm gonna put it without, yeah. L was a struggle for about 5 minutes. Because how do I make an Uppestcase L that still feels like L? This is the one where vibes were kind of the most important to me. These both feel like L, and I can't do anything to this one to make it feel more uppercasey without entirely ruining the vibe of L. Well, everything except one small line. Think like E, but without the top line. And honestly, that's enough for me to just go, you know what, that's L. Yes, I know it doesn't feel like an L as much as this, or hell, even middlecase L. But it's the best I could do. Technically, it's the least I could do. If you have any other ideas, let me know in the comments. I'm probably not gonna like them, full disclosure, but you know, there's no harm in trying. M. M needs a triangle. We got 2 mountains, so what if we just add a 3rd mountain? Any objections? Yeah, probably, but I can't hear you because I'm standing alone in my room right now talking about Uppestcase letters, and somehow all of you are watching that. So, does that say more about me? Or more about you? I think the triangle adds enough aura to this M, for lack of a better term, for it to feel more uppercasey than this one. The only issue I see with this is that if you write your uppercase M where the lines on the side are parallel, it would be kind of weird to try to do that with this one. Actually, no, it wouldn't. That looks fine. I kept writing it like this in all my practicing, but this looks fine too, honestly. Yeah, everything's okay. Never mind. False alarm. It works out fine either way. For the longest time, I adopted the same double line philosophy for N, but trying to write it is, oh God, no. That is so, like, non-intuitive. That's not a word. Unintuitive. Why did I non-intuitive? It's so unintuitive to write it like this. And so I decided that that's not gonna work. We need to do something else. Introducing N with a line through it. I didn't even reach the other side. Yes, it's very similar to just regular uppercase N, but the way I'm looking at it is like, if you have uppercase A, and then you got rid of the line in the middle, these feel like two distinctly different symbols. And so the fact that that happens twice here, both through here and then through here, it's enough for me to be like, yeah, that's uppercase N. Okay. Hear me out on this one. Where'd my pen go? I lost it. There it is. O is a circle. You know what else is a circle? Well, not my head, but you know what I mean. So why not just... I'm not kidding, that's my design. There are three sophisticated and highly nuanced reasons that I did this. The first is that middlecase O already had a circle inside of it, and I really don't like this design, but I genuinely don't have any better ideas, so I can't retcon it, so I don't really know what to do. And so reason number one is, well, if we're already taking the piss, why not take the piss a little more? The second reason is that the alphabet doesn't have any emotion in it. It's just symbols and lines and curves. There's no happiness in the alphabet, and so why not introduce a little happiness to the alphabet? You're telling me the letters have done all this for us and we haven't so much as given them happiness? That's a little messed up, don't you think? So if anything, my second reason is to give letters a fraction of the happiness they deserve. My third reason is, because I said so. P was another strange one because oh God, like what? Where do I even go? The obvious choice for middlecase P would have been that, but that's thorn, so we can't do that. So I ended up going with this for middlecase P. But doing that for uppercase P doesn't feel all right. It feels kind of right, but not enough for me to commit to it. So, you know what? Let's bring back that rule that they can go beneath the line. Now that's uppercase P. This is also the reason that J didn't go beneath the line in its uppercase form, mostly because now there's enough difference between the two that nobody's gonna look at this and think that it looks like JP. Okay, I guess a lot of people might look at this and still think it looks like JP, but I don't know, man. We'll figure it out. Q, more so than any of the letters, was the one that I thought about the most. I thought it was gonna be so easy. Uppercase Q, middlecase Q, lowercase q. We have this very clear tail here. Let's just incorporate it into uppercase Q. And then part of me was even like, you know what, why not? Let's just add that original tail in there too, just for the hell of it. Regardless of if this is here or not, it feels more superior than this, and it incorporates the tail from lowercase and middlecase Q. Everything's great. And then it turned out that everything was not great. Lowest case Q is gonna need a tail. And that means that uppercase Q is the only one without a tail. And that doesn't sit right with me. So I turned to peer review. I started presenting my ideas to other people and asking them, hey, what do I do for uppercase Q? Because I have no idea what to do now. I started panicking, and amidst that panic, so many designs came up. Of course, there was the original with the lowercase Q tail, and even the uppercase Q tail. There was also Q, but with the uppercase tail, but with a loop in it. One was Q, but with like a sideways N in it, and I don't know, man. My friend even suggested something along the lines of just adding a bunch of tails to it. But to me, that just looks like a crosshair. You suck. There were just so many ideas, none of which I liked. So eventually, well, I settled for one, and I don't dislike it, but I'm not like super happy with it. The biggest problem is that it just looks like a peace sign. Or that it's just an upside down Y. But it still feels like an uppercase Q to me. I think given time, this one will grow on me. But for the time being, I'm just disappointed that so much time and effort led to this. I'm just disappointed. Are you kidding me? What am I gonna do for R? What is R's universal trait? Well, it's the tail. Whether it be uppercase, lowercase, or even middlecase, there's always that tail there. That's not where the tail is on I'm on autopilot right now. It's here, it's here, it's here. There's always a tail present on R. And it also gets more pronounced the bigger the letter gets. It starts out as a small little round curve before turning into an actual proper tail. And because it wasn't enough for me to just make the tail longer, I took some notes from B and made it sharper. So before we do anything to the tail, let's just sharpen R. Already that feels more uppercasey than uppercase R. But again, we need to lengthen the tail, obviously. So you might not like that, but think of it as like the letter V. If you write it more clearly, think of this element as like a lowercase v. And honestly, I think that ends up working out, and it flows pretty nicely when you write it. Would it be nicer without the triangle on top? Maybe. Would it be nicer without the weird R tail thing at the bottom? Maybe. But both of these individually don't communicate superior enough vibes to uppercase R. That is, until you combine them into Uppestcase R, to where they feel like Uppestcase R. Is it my best design? No, far from it. But is it a design I'm pretty happy with? Absolutely. We already did T, so we can just move on to U, and what do you mean I forgot S? Is that a real letter? Are you sure you're not just making that up? Fine, I'll do S. Uppercase, middle case, lowercase. None of these work because they're all so confusing. Yeah, the middle case one is my fault, but what else was I supposed to do? So what, does that just mean I have to do this and just make it go beneath the line? I don't want to do that, but I guess I have to. And that's so lame. It's so unfortunate that S is such an uncool letter. If only I had like a cool variant or something. Wait a minute, scratch that. Uppestcase S is now the cool S. And the best part is, we've all drawn this before, so nobody needs to be taught this. We can all draw it, and now it's Uppestcase S. And the cool thing is, you're upset by, you don't like this being Uppestcase S. Okay, what do you want me to do? I'm not gonna make S bigger and beneath the line. So what is your grand genius proposal? Go on, I'm willing to hear it. That's what I thought. Anyway, glad to see that cool S finally has a spot in the alphabet. U is another one that I had to think about for a little bit, especially because middle case U has the tail as well. And so that means that Uppestcase U can't have the tail. Despite that, I still tried to incorporate the tail to the best of my ability in the Uppestcase version by kind of doing like a double J kind of thing. But this just feels like a cursive U, and I know that my middle case E was kind of just the cursive E, but this doesn't bother me. This does. Also, cursive just like shouldn't exist, so I'm not really considering it when I'm designing these. But then it hit me. Uppestcase letters should be bigger than their uppercase counterparts, or at least feel bigger. With most of these designs, their Uppestcase letter has just been a taller version of that letter or a more complex version of that letter. None of them have expanded on the x-axis. So why don't we do that with U? Not with you. U the letter. I'm not gonna expand your x-axis. U, U, U. U. For those of you looking for specifics, this takes up the place of 2 U's. So yeah, canonically this is wider than W. Even though W is just 2 V's, it's like if you tacked on an extra half a V. Think of it like that's about how wide this is. I don't know, man. I didn't really have any other ideas, but at the same time, it would be really funny just to have a really wide letter. Okay. V, W, and X all follow the same pattern as D, meaning that they all just become a bigger version of their middle case counterpart. V becomes a big triangle, W becomes 2 big triangles, and X becomes a big hourglass. All 3 of these follow the same pattern. Lowercase, middle case, which is just lowercase but enclosed, uppercase, and Uppestcase, which is just uppercase but enclosed. And I like these a lot. I'm not super upset by any of the designs, and the unity it creates is really strong. It's nice to see some of the letters put aside their differences and work together on something. Honestly, it's inspiring. What's not inspiring is the letter Y. I wouldn't call myself a Y hater. Actually, yeah, I would. Uppercase and lowercase y are already just some of the strangest designs in the alphabet, and so building on that logic, I made my middlecase y kind of a strange design, which means that uppercase y also has to be a strange design. So following the same kind of pattern logic I followed for a lot of this video, what if we take middlecase y, put it back up next to uppercase y, and add another line to it? So uppercase y is that. They can all be weirdos together, I guess. I just want to say, if you hate this design, then good, it worked. I'm trying to turn all of you into Y haters, and this is my propaganda to do so. So thank you for finally coming around. Anyway, moving on. The final letter of the alphabet is of course Z. Including middlecase Z, we have a pattern here, but I can't just extend uppercase Z to make it uppestcase Z. That doesn't work. Part of me almost wants to just do a normal Z but add a line through it, but the fact of the matter is that so many people already write Z like this that we can't really do that. So let's return to the idea one last time that uppestcase letters can go beneath the line. And let's give Z a Q tail. Because you know what? Having 3 triangles in a letter is really cool. And I know Z was never written with this intent, but it continues the kind of trend of making Z look like a lightning bolt. The only thing is that maybe if you write it kind of weirdly, the proportions of the triangles might look a little off, but it still looks good enough to the point where I could just chalk that up to messy handwriting. All in all, I'm pretty happy with this design. A lot more than my original design for Z, which was pretty much just N but sideways. I don't like that at all. And with that, I've presented all my designs for uppercase letters. But where do we use them? If you remember, middlecase letters were used at the beginning of every new word, so we didn't need spaces anymore. So what if we use uppercase letters at the beginning of every new sentence, getting rid of the period? So, using all 4 letter cases, allow me to write out the 3 sentences. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you later. You know, in hindsight, maybe I'm moving us in the wrong direction.